everybody, it is time for another update. So at our last update, we were just leaving New Zealand to head towards the South Pacific. So this video, I'm going to talk about our time in the Kingdom of Tonga and French Polynesia. So in the Kingdom of Tonga, we just got off and had lunch. It was blazing hot that day, so our plans to do a walking tour were quickly dispatched for an afternoon in the pool, but I'll show you what we had for lunch. As we pulled into Tonga and tied up the ropes, we were greeted with these beautiful cultural performances. Prior to arriving in Tonga, we attended a presentation with guest chef Aaron Freeman from New Zealand, who explained to us some of the cooking traditions of the South Pacific. He recommended we go to Friend's Cafe in Tonga, so of course we did. One thing he talked a lot about was these raw fish dishes with raw fish and coconut cream. So we had to try it. It was absolutely delicious. This is raw tuna with coconut cream and onions. We also had the best fish stew I've ever had in my entire life. It was coconut and creamy with tomato and excellent chunks of white fish. As we prepared for departure, there were more performances to wish us goodbye. Back on board, we had a bit of a laugh when we realized the Olsen twins were the godparents of this ship. And then it was time for karaoke. We have never seen karaoke on Holland America before, so this was very exciting. And then we hit French Polynesia. So on this itinerary, there were 6 ports of call in French Polynesia. We did not have the best luck with excursions. So in Papeete, which is the largest city we visited, our excursion, which was supposed to be a 4x4 through the jungle and the hills, was canceled 10 minutes before we were supposed to meet for it. We tried to regroup and find another tour, but the only options at that point were these 7-hour bus rides around the island. And at that point, we were kind of over being on a really large bus with our fellow passengers after all the time we spent with them in New Zealand. So we ended up just going out for dinner at a food truck, and I'll show you what that was like. Luckily, there were a set of food trucks parked right outside the cruise ship, so we headed outside. And what was neat is you sat down and they actually walked over and took your order. So it was just like a real restaurant. We enjoyed watching the local wildlife and what would later become dinner potentially. But we had to try poisson cruise. This was another one of those raw fish preparations with coconut cream. And chow mein is very popular in French Polynesia. Then the next day was Moorea, which is a beautiful place. We booked a catamaran snorkel tour, and it was really more of a scenic catamaran ride with a swim stop because I saw a total of 4 fish on that snorkel tour. 4. So that was a bit of a disappointment. Now the scenery was gorgeous, and I'll show you some of it. The catamaran itself was beautiful. It was large. We found a comfortable place to sit, and we set sail along the island. You could see our ship was anchored just within this beautiful bay. We drove by some of the overwater bungalows. Now, Moorea is known as a great alternative to Bora Bora. It's a little bit easier to get to, a little less expensive, but it's still just as beautiful. So, I mean, it was time well spent, but it just wasn't exactly what we were hoping for. In Raiatea, our excursion got canceled. Again, couldn't quite pull anything together at the last minute, so we didn't really spend a lot of time there. Then in Bora Bora, thankfully, we had a great excursion snorkeling, absolutely incredible. Saw manta ray, blacktip reef sharks, all different kinds of fish. So that was awesome. We had a great day there. This excursion was also listed with a catamaran. This one looked a little different than the one we had in Moorea, but it was awesome. The ladder down into the water was terrific and really easy to use. Our day started off with some not so great weather. Due to the weather, there was very low visibility in the water, but that little black blob you can see there is a huge manta ray. So that was really cool. Luckily, our second stop was in a lagoon, so it was more shallow and conditions were a lot better for visibility. This is where we saw the blacktip reef sharks. Yes, I am in the water with it. The first one has like these little yellow fish swimming right in front of it. I almost thought he had a piece of lettuce in his mouth. We had two sharks that kind of circled the boat and all of us snorkeling. There were a couple stingrays as well, but they swam away as soon as the boat anchored. Our third stop was a coral garden, which is where we found lots of fish. The boat captain was feeding them to bring them a little closer to the boat for those people who stayed on the boat and didn't get into the water. But it was really fun. Glenn even joined me in the water here, so that was great. One unique thing I saw here was all these fish just laying on the bottom. I had never seen that before. Now, it was quite crowded, if I'm being honest. There was probably 6 or 7 other boats there with snorkelers in the water. Our boat kind of set off to the side, so we weren't on top of another group, which was nice. Heading back in, our guide actually dove all the way down to the water and was making these awesome air bubble rings. Lunchtime, we had a great lunch on a sandy beach. On the way back, they sang songs about the local culture and the history. Our guides did a terrific job. This was an excellent excursion. I felt really lucky we got to do it and to go to the different lagoons. Back on board, it was time for the orange party, celebrating Holland America's Dutch culture. We even got in the act with our orange outfits. Another really fun thing they did on board was they had a food truck fair is what they called it. So they had a cotton candy machine. They set up different stations on Lido with different foods. Like this was the American station with burgers and hot dogs. And then the next set of ports were just very small islands. There wasn't a lot of excursions available. So we ended up just staying on the ship for most of them. The tender rides had the really long lines and we could see the beauty of the island from the ship. So we didn't feel like we needed to go over and put feet on the ground or go hiking again, because it was very hot. So I know we came to the South Pacific to escape winter, but when it's like a heat index of 95, 100 degrees, I am not going to climb a jungle hill. It's just not going to happen. I am going to sit on a lovely deck in a nice chair and enjoy the absolutely stunning view from the ship over the island. This is our last port in Marquesas. That resort there, you can see that little pink building was actually where they had Ponderosa in Survivor Marquesas. So that was fun to see. You can see our lifeboat in the water, shuttling people back and forth to shore. And this is just the beauty of French Polynesia, the volcanic islands, the tides that come in and out, creating beaches, the atolls that are surrounded by reefs. It really is a beautiful area. And they celebrated the sail away with a wine and cheese party. Now we are out to sea. We have 6 days back to San Diego.